In Maharashtra, 19 aborted female fetuses were found dumped in a stream at a village in Sangli district on the 5th of March. The police are probing the case of a 26-year-old woman's death during one of those abortions, which led them to the stream near this village where the police found fetuses buried in the ground in a plastic bag. Earlier today, the cops made a breakthrough in the case. They arrested the main accused in the abortion racket, who's been arrested in Belagavi in Karnataka by the Maharashtra police. He's been sent to a 10-day jurisdiction of police custody. Take a look.
मला सुद्धा जे काय कळलं त्यातून त्या संबंधित हॉस्पिटलमध्ये पोलिसांनी संबंध चौकशी करून अनेक आक्षेपार्ह कागद सुद्धा आणि बाकीचे डॉक्युमेंट्स असतील, मेडिकल इन्व्हेस्टिगेशनचे इन्स्ट्रुमेंट्स असतील, काही अजून जी काही त्याच्याशी रिलेटेड म्हणजे फिमेल फिटिसाइडच्या रिलेटेड जे काही गोष्टी सापडल्या त्यावरून पुढची कारवाई.
गर्भपात करण्यासाठी जी मुदत दिली आहे कायद्याने, त्याच्यानंतर देखील गर्भपात करून स्त्रियांचं जीवन धोक्यामध्ये घालणारे काही कसाई आणि त्यांचे दलाल असे डॉक्टरच्या वेशामध्ये वावरताना सापडलेले आहेत. सांगलीचे जिल्हा पोलीस अधीक्षक श्री शिंदे यांच्याशी मी आत्ताच तपशीलवार चर्चा केलेली आहे. सामाजिक कार्यकर्त्यांकडून देखील माहिती घेतलेली आहे आणि अनेक गोष्टी त्याच्यामधून अशा दिसत आहेत की कर्नाटकच्या बॉर्डरवरती हे म्हैसाळ गाव असल्यामुळे इतर राज्यातून सुद्धा महिला या ठिकाणी येत होत्या. गर्भलिंग निदान करायचं आणि त्याच्यानंतर या महिलांचे गर्भपात करायचे. हा स्वतः डॉक्टर जरी BHMS असला तरी त्याच्याकडे अॅनेस्थेशिया देणारं, सर्जरी करणारे, गर्भपात करणारे असे सगळे तज्ज्ञ लोक येत असावेत आणि म्हणून त्याच्याकडे कोण कोण येत होतं हे तपासून त्यांनाही अटक झाली पाहिजे. आरोपी अजून फरार आहे, आरोपीला त्वरित अटक झाली पाहिजे. सभागृहात तर मी हा विषय घेणारच आहे, परंतु जिल्हा पोलीस अधीक्षकांच्या बरोबर सिव्हिल सर्जन आणि या महिला आणि यासाठी काम करणारे दलाल यांच्या मुळापर्यंत गेल्याशिवाय या प्रवृत्तींना शिक्षा होणार नाहीये. म्हणून याबाबत एखादी सत्यशोधन समिती किंवा SIT पोलिसांच्या मदतीसाठी म्हणून ताबडतोब तयार करण्यात यावी अशी मागणी मी सरकारकडे करत आहे.
कुछ साल पहले बीड में जो घटना हुई है और उसके बाद सांगली में भी अभी भ्रूण हत्या का जो मामला सामने आ रहा है वो बहुत गंभीर है. निश्चित रूप में एक सामाजिक व्यवस्था में कोई बदलाव आने की सोच हमने काफ़ी उसके पहल करने की आवश्यकता है, लेकिन वो तो उसमें सब सामाजिक संगठनों ने आगे आके उसमें काम करने की आवश्यकता है. लेकिन ये जो घटना सांगली में सामने आई है वो बहुत गंभीर है. निश्चित रूप में उसकी तुरंत जांच होने की आवश्यकता है और जो दोषी हैं उनके ऊपर सख्ती से कार्रवाई करने की मांग हम करते हैं, क्योंकि अगर इस बात को बढ़ोतरी मिलती जाएगी तो महाराष्ट्र जो एक पुरोगामी राज्य है नाम से जाना जाता है, इसमें राज्य के लिए बहुत बड़ा कलंक रहेगा, ऐसा मैं मानता हूँ.
India's daughters, viewers, we're less than 24 hours away from International Women's Day, which in India is frankly a large joke. This is what we're dealing with today in 2017. Doctors who perform tests to find out whether the fetus is male or female and then perform illegal abortions to remove the female fetuses and then put them in a plastic bag and dump them in a stream. The numbers are heartbreaking. Of the number of women in this country who are not allowed to be born, let's not even begin talking about what happens to them after they're born. And the government seems surprised and shocked every time. And the reason we're bringing this up today, and I don't understand why as a country we're not more upset, why this is not top headlines in every one of the news channels. Why are we allowing our governments to brush this under the carpet one more time and say we've ordered an investigation, we've asked the police to look at it, we've asked the Karnataka government to help us, look at the border more carefully, we're going to be a little more careful. That's not enough. It's not enough. The numbers are appalling. Women are being killed before they can be born. There can't be a worse story to bring to you on a Tuesday evening than the one I have for you today. And the government is doing nothing. Absolutely nothing, and that's what we're bringing to you tonight. And I want to welcome onto the show Ranjana Kumari, who's an advocate and the director of the Center for Social Research. Sudhakar Suradkar is a former IPS officer from the city of Mumbai. Trisha Shetty is a lawyer and activist. Dr. Sanjay Nagral is a surgeon and the chairperson of the Forum for Medical Ethics. Shama Mohammad represents the Congress Party. Dr. Rekha Agarwal is a consultant OBGYN at Lilavati Hospital, and Shaina Nc of the BJP will join us through the course of this conversation. Ranjana Kumari, babies being dumped in streams, all female.
Yes.
This is an appalling way to go into International Women's Day, Ranjana.
Well, it's really not a new story, and it's as painful every time as it really gets exposed. Because, the population we are seeing it clearly, that data is going down. And somehow now, recently, the Family Health Survey, which has only gone to 7 lakh people, collected the data saying that no, it is in fact getting reversed in certain states. I'm very happy if it is getting reversed. And also, I happen to be the member of the Central Control Board of PCPNDT. And I can tell you that, there's a huge change that we have observed in recent meetings, which is really chaired by the Health Minister and also by Maneka Gandhi, the Women and Child Minister, is that, there is this doctors' lobby. Look at on the one side what these doctors are doing, radiologists, sonologists, unless they will test and tell the mother that the fetus is male or female, there is no way a mother or father or family can know that this is a female child or a male child. So all these radiologists, doctors, sonologists have formed a lobby, and they want all the regulations to be kind of diluted. They are saying we have to fill a huge amount of form. Not even one get arrested. There are very, very few cases in whole of the country. 16 fetuses you have just identified, and just now we are showing it to the viewers. But let me tell you, not even 30 cases have come from Karnataka or Maharashtra, or the whole nation. For last 10 years we have got not even 1,000 cases against these kind of doctors, radiologists and sonologists. So that is the condition of the law and implementation of law in our country. We are working for awareness, we are working for mindset change. It may take 100 years. By the time the female population will disappear, we have taken step towards, in fact, extinction of the, the whole human race is going to be over if this is what Indians keep doing. And that is where we are at the moment. But there is no real seriousness to implement the law. That is the difficulty. Because we are all saying create awareness, create awareness. This society which has son preference, which gives every right to men, whether it is property, whether it is carrying the name of the family, whether everything is with the male child. They can go to any
Let's stay with that one point. Let's stay with that one point.
The female child. So why don't you implement the law?
Implement the law. But I want to bring the doctors in, Ranjana. 1 second. I want to bring the doctors in on what you said.
Border areas.
Right. I want to bring the doctors in on what you said, and then we'll take that point by point. Dr. Sanjay Nagral, the fact that, irrespective of the fact that, actually detecting the sex of a fetus has been illegal for such a long time, obviously it's still happening. What is wrong with the ethics of the medical community that we are not able to tell the difference between right and wrong?
Yeah, so I think we can choose to either look at this in isolation or choose to look at it in a little broader framework. I think for too long in this country, doctors have fed into some of the discourses, the dominant discourses, and they no longer have independent critical viewpoint on things. So,
no, I don't understand what that means. Explain to my viewers what it means.
What it means is that whilst even before the law and the law being implemented, there was a section of doctors who very willingly participated in the whole idea of playing up to patients' demands. I mean, that's how doctors often put it. I would also say that this has some background in our whole obsession for years with family planning, where I would say even doctors fed into that whole idea of the family planning obsession.
So I just want to understand this. Right now, whatever was being done in the past, right now it is illegal.
Yes.
But it is still happening.
Yes.
And for some reason, everybody seems to be under the impression that the medical community is getting away scot-free.
Absolutely, but
Why aren't we able to put a stop to that?
yeah, so absolutely, and I think there's somewhere, a critical mass of doctors is not convinced that whether it is female feticide, whether it is involvement in the, let's say, the organ trade, that this is something wrong that we must not participate in. So there is that conviction is lacking.
Are you joking?
No, I'm not joking.
But I mean, look at it this way. If we find a bag of 19 female babies in it, there is no other way to read this evidence, Dr. Nagral. There is no other. I don't understand how anybody who could have reached a point where he or she qualified to be a doctor cannot see logic in this.
Yeah, so if I may try to explain it to you further. So we are seeing a highly unregulated, a highly market-oriented medical profession today, where success means money, where you earn money at any cost, and therefore we have unleashed this monster. And when you have unleashed such a monster, you will have periodically individuals. I'm explaining it to you. I'm not rationalizing it.
Yes.
I'm explaining
Okay.
it to you. And so you'll have monsters of all sorts who really care about what they get out of it rather than whether what they're doing is right or wrong. So that's the problem. So we can just, rather than just moralizing on it, all I'm saying is look at it in the context of how healthcare is going. It's demand-based, and I would say I would just add one more thing that in my view, it's whole telescoping of obsession with family planning, feeding into female feticide, and I would also add that let's also look at surrogacy, because I think doctors are feeding into yet another monster that's slowly creeping up, and few years down the line, that's going to be yet another monster. So. I think it's a question of...
Okay, so tell me this. In your opinion, in your educated opinion, do you think that governments are doing enough to stop female feticide? Simple question.
So governments are doing something. They have a law, but there has to be...
The law has been there for a while. Is there enough happening on the ground to action that law?
Yeah, so I think, therefore... I think as a member of the medical profession, there has to be an attempt to look onwards, some self-regulation. Our medical councils have to be more active. And I think there has to be an atmosphere created in the profession itself. The OBGY societies need to say that we find anybody involved in something like this, we will ostracize them, we will boycott them. There is no real outrage, even in the profession.
I want to ask Rekha Agarwal, who is OBGYN at Lilavati Hospital. Dr. Agarwal, tell us this. In the fancy hospitals of Mumbai, and we're not talking about Bheed, we're not talking about Sangli, in the fancy hospitals of Mumbai, if there are abortions that are taking place, is there a track record of the gender of the abortion? And is there someone in the government who's following up?
No, track record of the gender is not possible because gender determination itself is illegal. So to determine the gender of an abortus would be, maybe qualifying it as, oh, I have aborted your baby and see it was a female. So that should not be allowed at all. So gender qualification should not be done of abortuses. But yes, all abortions have to be reported to the authorities. As soon as an abortion is done, we have to upload the consent form, the doctor's signature, everything has to be uploaded to the authorities. So abortions don't go unnotified in big hospitals.
My second question to you, Dr. Agarwal, is this. We have heard that in most of the big hospitals in Delhi and in cities like Delhi and Mumbai, Chandigarh, that has a really bad, gender ratio rate, that the doctors don't actually say that, oh, you're going to have a daughter or you're going to have a son. They have a code word for it. If they say laddu khilaiye, it means that you're going to have a son. If they say jalebi khilaiye, it means you're going to have a daughter. So they somehow, one way or the other, manage to pass that information along if they so desire to do so. How can that be regulated? Is that being regulated, Dr. Agarwal? In your opinion, do you think enough is being done?
I personally feel wherever there is a law, there will be some people who will be breaking it. And today, what we are discussing about Sangli is not a qualified doctor who has done it. It is a homeopath. And I'm not sure if all the fetuses have been gender identified. Like you were saying, 19 female fetuses. I think they've been sent for study. Now, what happens typically in these abortions is it is very easy for these people who are just after money to say, I have done a sonography and it is a female and we'll abort it. So you have no clue as to whether it was a female or a male. Now, if I am doing a gender determination, I say, oh, these are females and these are males, and I actually allow those babies to be born, then it is a conviction that I have, and I'm showing you that, okay, these are male babies. But no, what most of these guys who do illegal abortions, they just tell you it's a female baby and abort it. So the parents have no idea whether actually it was a female or a male, and the person who's aborting, doing this illegal business, is making money at the cost of the parents. The parents are gullible, and they're just out to get the female fetus out. Yes, government is doing quite a bit. I think what is needed now is to upgrade the health facilities in every nook and corner of the country. That is what is needed. And we cannot just be blaming doctors, painting all the doctors in the same color, because one illegal doctor has done this in Sangli. What was the municipal corporation doing there when there were fetuses in their drains? Is there nobody else looking at those fetuses which are being thrown and scattered everywhere? Is it just that one doctor who has done everything? No, there is a connivance of the whole system.
Mr. Suradkar, is it possible, and this is the thing that worries me, that when there is a law, there will be people who break the law. Is it not possible to enforce the law in this case at all?
It is possible, why not? But there has to be, the police have to be vigilant. It's not that if any such racket goes on such a scale, nobody knows about it. What is a collection of intelligence? So it's not only, you have to prevent the crime also. Investigating a crime and procuring conviction is another part. But the first thing is you must prevent. And how do you prevent? So unless public and police come together, such activities cannot go without knowledge to quite a few people. And it's not very difficult for policemen to find it out.
All right.
So I would say that the policemen, the social workers, everybody must come together and ensure that the law is enforced in proper spirit and quickly.
I want to bring in the other voices on the panel, but before I do that, Dr. Nagral, you wanted something you had to say?
So two quick points. In this debate, we must not confuse between the rights of a woman to abort, because one can go into that confused area.
Yes.
A woman has a right to abort.
Yes, she does.
And the second point is very tempting to put this whole thing as Sangli, some homeopathy doctor. The fact of the matter is that in the big cities and big hospitals, although it's difficult, but there was a time when this was happening. So this is not necessarily always something which happens in rural Maharashtra, rural Sangli,
by some quack who's
etc.
not
So because there's a section of professionals who think that I make money on this, and the means don't matter, and that's where I think there's a problem.
That's where there is a problem. I want to open up the panel to the rest of our panelists, Trisha Shetty and Shama Mohammad. Trisha Shetty, you first. This is symptomatic of the way our country treats women, Trisha.
No, it most definitely is, and I wouldn't just restrict it to the current government. We've been seeing this, we've been seeing a skewed sex ratio in India, and it's been a pervasive problem. In fact, UNICEF years ago said that female feticide in India could be equivalent to like genocide proportions. We don't just throw the word genocide around. And then you talk about, boys in Haryana going to states like Kerala to find brides, because where are the brides? You've killed women. You have to understand that this is the way you're treating women on a constant basis. There is no sense of life, there is no sense of dignity. And I heard the few panelists before this, not to cast any aspersions or anything they've said, but for them to say that oh, doctors say this, and then doctors may lie to you and tell you that it's a female child even though they've not tested, and the parents are gullible. In this case, the parents are not just gullible, they are feeding into the narrative of how a female child's life is not worth being saved, is not worth being raised. So it's against the law. There are reasons why we have the PCP and DT Act, we have the MTP Act, we have the Nursing Home Act, because we've realized that there is a problem in India. We don't value women once they are born, and we don't even allow women to be born in the first place. So at this point, I think we need to stop, paying lip service. We need to stop. We need to be harsh with our words and call it for what it is. It is unlawful, it's murder, it's female feticide on genocide proportions, and there needs to be accountability, and we need to figure out what more can we do. How do we make sure that the doctor lobbies are taking accountability, that Beti Badhao, Beti Bachao doesn't just become a marketing campaign, but it truly resonates with the masses.
Let me ask that question. Let me ask that question of both Shama Mohammad and Ranjana. Shama Mohammad, I'll come to you first. I want you to respond to two things. One, Trisha Shetty pointing out that this is not symptomatic of this government. We've had this problem for a very long time, for previous governments as well, where little female babies were being aborted and killed before they were born. Secondly, Beti Bachao is a massive campaign of this current government. Is it just lip service?
Okay, you have to give me a few seconds for this. First, today morning when I saw the news, I was shocked. 18 fetuses, and that to a homeopath doing it. Coming from the medical fraternity myself, I was really, really upset that homeopaths are not doing something like this. I mean, they are not supposed to be doing it. It's supposed to be a gynecologist, and not even a general physician does this. So that was very shocking. Number two is this Beti Bachao, and it's a time of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, and like you said, you're the only channel which has given it importance today. The other channels were just showing it in passing, so I think it's really lip service. Now in 2011, Shivraj Singh Chauhan of Madhya Pradesh started a program called Beti Bachao Abhiyan. Now that was started with a lot of fanfare, 15 crores spent, and in 2015, the highest female feticide is in Madhya Pradesh. 30% of India is in Madhya Pradesh. So it did not work. I don't know what he was up to. Again, it was lip service. Now in 2012, when the Congress government was in power in Maharashtra, the health minister got the IMA involved, the NGOs involved. He took them into confidence. He got the police sensitized, the law officers sensitized, because the police did not know which section they should charge these doctors on. So they got them into confidence. They kept public prosecutors in each district. 2 public prosecutors from the government went to each district, because there are 3 districts in Maharashtra: Beed, Satara, and Latur. These are the 3 districts where female feticides were happening. So they got public prosecutors especially assigned to fight cases of medical termination of pregnancy. And they also got the FDA involved, Food and Drug Administration, to check on various chemists who are selling over-the-top, over-the-counter drugs for medical termination of pregnancy. Termination of pregnancy.
But why is this still happening then?
So what I'm trying to say is that they did, that's what I'm just, let me finish. So they did sting operations, and by 2014, 17 doctors were convicted. 70 doctors, not 17, 70. So what I'm trying to say is that if the Bharatiya Janata Party had taken this further, this program, what we had started, we wouldn't have something like this right now in Maharashtra. They've completely stopped everything. There is only Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao lip service, but nothing is happening. See, you will send an investigations will be started today. He will go into prison. He'll come out on bail, this particular doctor. That doesn't serve the purpose. We need a wholesome way to tackle this, like involving various law officers.
Let me bring in Ranjana to ask. I want to know if Ranjana agrees. Ranjana, do you agree that the previous government in Maharashtra had done plenty and it was not seen through by the BJP government? Or do you agree with what Trisha says, which is that irrespective of which government was in power, we've always had the short end of the stick as far as this was concerned?
Well, I would say, that politicizing the issue is not going to take us anywhere. Whether it was the previous government, in fact, there were not even meetings held of PCPNDT board by the previous government to make any kind of assessment. They were mandatory to have quarterly meetings, and they were also not held. So let's not talk about this government or that government. Issue is that we are not able to really do a tight medical administration system in the country where so many quacks, homeopath, this one, that one is all allowed to do operation. They get away with all this. We are also having so many radiologists, sonologists and doctors giving misinformation to parents, and they are also getting away with that misinformation, telling them this is a female fetus, and then they are asking for abortion to make money. You just heard a doctor saying that in your panel. So what kind of, then we have an IMA, Indian Medical Association, which has till date not taken away or recommended taking away of license of any nursing home, any doctor, anybody who is doing all this. That means in some way everybody together in the whole medical system is condoning it. On the other side, when you look at the law enforcement agencies, I mean, less said is better, because we had identified patches of border areas between Haryana, Delhi and Punjab, and we have told them that look, how come there's so many nursing homes all of a sudden have just mushroomed in this area? Because Jhajjar is the highest female feticide district, and then Mahendragarh, in Kurukshetra, Ambala. So we identified the areas, but never.
Nothing was ever done.
Seal. With our own team, we have sealed nursing homes, and next week that is open. Next week, the same nursing home is open. So who do you really go and say all this to? The police is connivance with the medical system.
I'll tell you who we should go to.
They refuse to look at
the Women and Child Ministry that is in charge of the Beti Bachao campaign, Ranjana. That's who we should go to.
Do something.
The Women and Child Ministry, the Union Women and Child Ministry that is in charge of the Beti Bachao campaign.
Yes, but there are 100. Look, it will be fair to say.
Go ahead,
it will be fair to say that Beti Bachao campaign in 100 districts have seen a little bit improvement in the statistics of the the sex ratio. There is some kind of a change because there is a lot of awareness program going on. We are also participating in Haryana very actively, supporting the program. But the whole issue is that unless the law is effectively implemented and certain people are punished for the crime they are committing, and also the medical fraternity on its own walks in and says, look, we shall follow the ethics and we will not allow this to happen, because they are getting a bad name. Doctors have been treated like gods in this country, and look what is coming out.
Allow me to bring in
forward and start
Shaina Nc.
That, look, we will not allow this.
Allow me to bring in Shaina Nc. Shaina Nc, the Beti Bachao campaign that was announced by our Prime Minister, which is largely about, like Ranjana pointed out, education and information, unfortunately is not saving the Betis and the Bachis of this country. In Maharashtra, 19 female fetuses found wrapped up in a plastic bag at a stream. What is the government's reaction, both state and centre?
I completely agree. Faye, please understand that this has been a very shocking incident and we all condemn it in totality. I don't want to pay mere lip service. But what did the Prime Minister think of when he started Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao? There are 3 avenues, and it's ironical that we debate on the eve of International Women's Day. Women can only be empowered in the true sense if they are safe, if they are secure, if they are educated, and if they're financially independent. And that is precisely the viewpoint and a larger battle to fight mindset. I can talk about all kinds of policies of previous governments and our own, and we can see where some have been successful and where some have failed. But unless we collectively fight a regressive mindset which gives men a status which is way above women in a male-dominated society, I think we won't even be able to take a step further in the right direction. Do understand, when we talk about women's empowerment, if a woman is economically independent, secure and educated, she is no liability on anybody. And we have proven in varied fields that there are people who have fought mindset, there have been people who have welcomed women, and there have been lots who have actually condemned and only talked about wanting a male child to take on this so-called legacy. What is the Prime Minister fighting? He's saying that when you give equality to men and women in a family, you should give her the same status when it comes to any education possibility or inheritance right.
But you know,
I think it's imperative
China,
to understand
I personally
fight a mindset, a perverted mindset sometimes, where there are cases of rape and atrocities and all kinds of vulgarity. That is one avenue, but the other is to even help government through public policy.
I understand what you're saying about Beti Bachao, and I believe and I support any campaign that looks to provide equal rights to men and women, but that has to run alongside with a tight and a solid law and order system that prevents us from receiving information like what we received today. Mr. Suradkar, here is the problem. Now, it is a great campaign to fix the mindset over a period of time so that women are in a better place, and nobody wants to abort female fetuses at all. But how do we stop what is happening today? Because as of today, 19 little girls have not been born. 19 little girls will not grow up to be women, and they will not contribute to society, and they will not realize who they could have been. And this is a crime. This is murder because they've been singled out and they have been murdered. How do we stop that? And that is not going to stop. And if we continue, if we have a 10-15 year plan, which I think is fantastic, in the meantime, we cannot afford to lose the number of girls that we're losing every year.
Here, police will have to be proactive.
Okay.
And they shouldn't wait. Actually, we have come to know about 19 fetus being found. What about the unreported cases? I don't see this is the only, these are the only cases which have taken place. So there are so many unreported cases. So once we realize this, then we have to change the mindset, as Shaina has rightly said. So if we want to prevent it, firstly, we will have to be proactive. We will all come together, find out what is going on happening, collect intelligence, and take timely action.
But Ranjana was telling us that they have personally gone and sealed nursing homes as part of the organization she works for, and the next day or the next week that nursing home is open again.
Correct. So that is what I am trying to say, that once you know the things are happening, why can't we completely smash the racket?
Okay, I want to ask. I want to open up a second angle of debate here, which is, and I'm quoting the Union Minister for Women and Child, Menaka Gandhi, who has said on Monday just gone by, that sex determination tests should be made compulsory. Should be made compulsory to track women pregnant with girl children, as to measure and check female feticide. This is what she says, and I'm quoting, "In my personal view, the women should be compulsorily told whether it is a boy or a girl, and then it should be registered to be able to check whether or not they have given birth to this boy or girl." Is that, now I want to ask this panel of educated individuals, is that a possible solution? And I'll start with you, Doctor. Do you believe that's a possible solution?
Well, I think Menaka Gandhi is on some sort of a roll, and
which is, she's in charge of women's rights and children's rights in this country.
Yeah, but I mean, the word compulsory, if she actually thinks that in the country of this size, you can actually monitor every pregnancy, I think it's a sign of either trying to get eyeballs or it's desperation. I cannot believe that in a country this vast that you can actually do any such monitoring. So I think the alternatives are difficult. They are hard, but that shouldn't mean that we start.
But if the people in charge of the solutions right now are giving solutions like this one, you don't believe that this will work, and you believe that it shows tremendous short-sightedness and a misunderstanding of the situation.
And it also shows attempts to grab attention, quick fix solutions, and quick fix solution is not going to work here.
Ranjana Kumari, do you believe that this solution as offered by the Honourable Minister Menaka Gandhi is actually a solution that's viable?
You know, she said this earlier also, and she said it recently, and I don't think this is a well-considered opinion. This is not thought-through process by which she has arrived at this conclusion. Because, if you're talking about tracking pregnancies, women are the most vulnerable in the whole piece. It is they who will be told how many children to have, which kind of child to have, and it is the whole family, including the husband and the in-laws, and everybody will start putting pressure on her, and her life will be hell. You see, it is possible in a scenario where a woman can make decision about her body and her pregnancy and how many children and what kind of children she should have. But in India, that is totally not her decision. So by monitoring her, you are putting additional burden on her of this kind of a pressure which will start coming from all directions. The moment they will get to know it is a female child, obviously if it is the first child, definitely, people will start. Second child, there is no question of having a female child when it is the second birth. So I think this is not a solution. This is not a solution. Certainly, perhaps she thinks by telling Many countries it happens, you tell them you can choose, you have a right to choose. Which woman in India can choose what kind of a pregnancy to have, how many pregnancies
so
to have, which kind of, whether to have a male child or a female child? I don't think so. And country has 80, not well considered opinion at all. And 80, I have said that earlier also, I have said that in her meeting also, and she in fact mentioned that also, that we had direct discussion on this in a meeting, in the PCPNDT board meeting. And I think, and I'm again reiterating that this is not the way to go. If you tell, then additional burden of putting in, why should you really track a pregnant woman? If you want to track her, at least give her good nutrition, give her a good hospital to have the child birth. Let's stop, so many women are dying during childbirth. Let's stop all that. Let's really protect this pregnant girl. Why should a woman, why should we start tracking her for, and hold her responsible for going for abortion? She doesn't go for abortion.
Right. And this is the danger. And I want to bring in Trisha Shetty here. This is the danger.
For abortion of female fetus.
This is the danger. The fact that the Union Minister of Women and Child Rights, Maneka Gandhi herself, is coming up with a solution that almost everyone on the panel agrees with, is a completely underthought, understudied, misinformed solution. And we have one member who actually says it's being done just to grab eyeballs, just to grab publicity. Trisha Shetty, this is the scary part. These are the custodians of women's rights.
Look, I don't know what the intent of putting such a statement across would be, but from my understanding, it is non-executionable. It puts undue pressure on the woman, as Ranjana Kumari rightly pointed out, and also where is the empirical evidence to prove that such a model works on cutting down female feticide rates? And to come back to one quick point because I think this is important, where the gentleman before me said that police needs to be sensitized, police needs to be held accountable. I think the police have enough attention on them. At this point, we need to look at the healthcare medical industry as a whole, not just for female feticide, but the way they treat and handle cases of rape, sexual assault. There needs to be accountability on the medical and healthcare industry. I wouldn't even want to honestly ratify with what, the tracking women and telling them that, forcing them to know what the sex of the child is with a statement beyond what the 3 points what I said is, because it just seems non-executionable for us to even debate on the merit of it. You can't execute such a plan.
But I think personally that this is extremely distressing when the person who is meant to come up with the solutions, who is the Union Minister of Women and Child, is coming up with a plan that nobody even wants to discuss because it is such a bad plan and it's so ill thought out. Dr. Rekha Agarwal, how will the policing of the OBGYN industry happen? Do you think that finding out the sex of the baby and then tracking whether or not that baby is born is the solution?
Absolutely not. And I feel the solution is that every time such people are caught who are breaking the law, an example should be made not only of the doctor who's involved, but of the local authorities who were in connivance, and everybody else who is taking part in this feticide happening. If we make an example once, people will think 10 times before breaking the law. But we never do that. This will again, after 2 or 3 months, will start again, and everybody would have forgotten this debate. So unless the law really strictly punishes these guys, treats it as murder, nobody, it will not be enforceable. So we should do that. We should treat this as murder and punish these guys in accordance with that, including the local authorities, not only the doctors, but local authorities, the BMC or whatever, the municipal corporation who was supposed to be knowing what is going on in their area, and the police. If everybody is made an example of, these laws will be difficult to break, I feel.
Shaina Nc, who's back with us. Shaina, the fact that the Union Minister Maneka Gandhi has put out a suggestion which everybody believes is completely unworkable, and also in some cases, in some opinions, not very well thought out and attention seeking. The fact that she believes the solution is to track every pregnancy, to tell the mother forcibly whether it's a boy or a girl, and then find out whether or not the baby was born. How can the government be putting out suggestions like this that are not workable? All right, she can't hear. Shama Mohammad?
I want to get back at what Ms. Shaina Nc said, is that the Prime Minister is talking about Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. I agree totally with her on that, but we have to see what is the ground reality of female feticide. I mean, I don't want to politicize it, but it has increased in Madhya Pradesh from 2011 after Mr. Chauhan started that Beti Bachao Abhiyan program, which he spent 15,000 crores, and it's increased to 30%, I said, in 2015. The number 1 state is Madhya Pradesh, number 2 is Rajasthan, number 3 is Maharashtra, and number 4 is Haryana. So what I'm trying to say is the Prime Minister, since he talks about Beti Bachao, he should really seriously look into the states at least where BJP is in power and do something about it and see that, make it a wholesome thing. Get the IMA involved, get the law authorities involved, because it's like the doctor said, murder. And this murder, unless and until there are stringent convictions, we are going nowhere. We have to convict these people. They have to be behind bars, and it should be a non-bailable offense. I mean, this is really a murder. You are killing female children or fetus. So the most important thing is the Prime Minister should stop lip service and do something drastically to stop this. This is not anymore a joke or a little thing. This is murder, and it's going on for years, and nothing has been done about it, except in certain pockets of the country it has been done. Like in Kerala, we don't have it. We have the women. That's the only state, I think, in India where the ratio of women is more to the men. So it's about education. We need to educate at district levels, at various levels. You have to also sensitize the people at various levels, at the villages, and say that a child is not that bad. And about dowry, we should also educate them about dowry. We have to stop the stringent. We have to also put them behind bars who ask for dowry, because the reason why a child is being killed is because they don't want to give the dowry. It's a whole vicious cycle. So we need to stop the dowry system. We need convictions. We need real convictions, and that is what we should look into, Mr.
Suradkar, how often do one of these cases actually turn into a conviction? And what kind of punishment are we talking about?
As the other day we had discussed, the conviction rate is very poor. And in such cases, still poor. So, firstly, the investigation has to be properly conducted. And as rightly said, here all involved, say person who are all involved, including whether they are politicians, whether they are policemen, whether they are doctors, because all persons who are responsible must be tried together and punished. And that punishment has to come very quickly. Unfortunately, in our country, it is so much time consuming, frustrating, annoying. So this has to change, and this can change only if we all pressurize the person, say authority that may be, to deliver.
Who is the authority here that should be pressurized?
We are all, say start with police. I would say, what kind of policeman we want? Do we want a policeman a corrupt policeman who will behave like a slave of a politician? Or you want a policeman who will be guided by law and constitution? And this is true of all. The doctors must follow their ethics. So I am talking of every one of us. So unless we rise to the occasion and come together, I think things are not going to change.
I want to ask Dr. Nagral here, why isn't it that the medical community ostracize people who are caught, ostracize people who are suspected? It should not be an option to be able to go through something like this and then go about your life like normal, which is unfortunately the case.
Yeah, so in this debate in the last hour, we heard the term medical industry, healthcare industry, OBGY industry.
Yes.
So unfortunately, we have reached a stage where it's an industry. It's a dominant private sector where the ends justify the means. So you have a dominant narrative now that who's a successful doctor, and therefore, if you look at medical associations, look at their record, it's dismal. They are largely functioning as guilds. They are functioning as more to protect doctors, whereas they should be. I mean, in many countries you will see medical associations coming out openly, speaking out against wrong practices. We just don't see that introspection. And in fact, I would put it one step further. Medical associations in this country are largely captured by vested interests, and as a result of which the honest doctors have shied away from these associations. They are considered lunatic fringe, they are considered idealists. And therefore, and I'm again making that point, so please see the link between not just female feticide, but the infertility industry, the surrogacy industry. So it's all about an industry which is basically about money making. And that's the focus of, I'm sorry, but that's the focus of practice in India. There's no longer science in it.
What is the solution?
The solution is to do a good reassessment of where healthcare is going.
Right, Ranjana has a point to make. Ranjana?
Yeah, I want to just say that, you see, it's true, it's absolutely true what doctor is saying is that it's all gone into the industry mode, and also everything is now about business, about making money. So we can't keep reminding them of medical ethics, and we can't. It's all about private sector. Government is really shrinking and its institutions are shrinking. So private sector is taking over in the whole of the health sector. So what we need to do is to have strong regulation, and job of the government is really to implement those regulations and laws.
Yes.
But the difficulty is it is a failure. When I was giving you an example, we were members of the inspection and monitoring committee when we went and closed these nursing homes, not as individuals or small organizations. We were representative of governments when we went and closed. But within a week, they negotiated, and police, I don't know what happened really, what magic happens in this country, when they all opened the seal of the nursing homes, and machines were right there and they were already functioning. So I think that the whole thing is about punishing people for breaking the law. And quick punishment for people who are breaking the law. Unless we are going to do that, then this industry is going to be totally unregulated. It is actually unregulated. So what is going to happen to the health of the people, and especially in the context of female feticide? How are we going to control it? Then only by punishing people. As many convictions, as many cases as they have come, hardly any convictions, and such a large country, there are hardly any cases which are getting reported. And you just in one can you give me one example anywhere in any developed nation, any nation which is really calling itself to be going for 21st century, where a homeopath doctor is conducting this kind of operation and going for this kind of abortion? I mean, how is it allowed even? How it is even possible? Tell me how? And that is why all this is happening.
Regulations.
Because quacks are carrying the machine in the villages and going around and telling the village people.
Right, and this is a question I want to take to Shaina Nc, who joins us now. Shaina, if you can hear us, how is this happening? So while the long-term plans are appreciated, at the end of the day, in our villages, in our borders, in our cities, there are people in the know who are colluding, who are allowing this to happen. We should not have lost those 19 little girls, and that's just the truth.
Absolutely fair. There's no disputing that fact that you have 19 baby girls' fetus found in this plastic bag in the most rural part of Maharashtra, and it seems to be that there are quacks and dalals and all kinds of people at the job as well. I'm not for a minute absolving the state health department or our government. I am very, very clear that we will ensure that this punishment, the guiltiest of people are put behind bars at the earliest. And in the days to come, do we need regulation? Clearly. But do we need a mindset change? 100%. Why is it that we are so obsessed with men to start with? And why are we such a male-dominated society, even in the 21st century when women are at par with men? So I think the larger debate is about taking this awareness campaign to even rural villages.
I'll tell you where we can start with a mindset change, Shaina Nc. We can start with the Union Minister of Child and Women's Welfare, Maneka Gandhi, who made a statement yesterday saying girls should be put in their hostels and locked up earlier for their own safety because they have hormonal imbalances that they need to be protected from. I mean, statements like that, statements like, in my personal view, women should be compulsorily told whether it's a boy or a girl, and then it should be registered to have a check on whether or not they give births. And this is the minister speaking. Now, if we want to do a mindset change, let's start from within the government, Shaina.
I agree with you there, Faye, and I'm not going to beat around the bush. I don't think that women have any problem with their hormones. If at all, the men in society have a huge problem when it comes to that, and a huge problem with their mindset coupled with the changes that they would probably go through. So this kind of advice should have been for men and not for women. I want to say on record that, perpetrators of crime who resort to vulgarity, molestation, rape, any kind of atrocity against women, and to my mind even this kind of feticide killing is an atrocity, need to be condemned in totality. And I'd like to say,
We seem to have lost that connection. We're going to try and get her back, but I just want to focus on the fact that we're still talking about a mindset change. And it's not so much, we can talk about a mindset change when we can afford a mindset change. Ranjana Kumari, I don't believe we can afford...
Can I come in?
Yeah, Shama, I don't believe we can afford a mindset change because we can't wait 20 years. We need to have really strong law and order to save these girls now. The mindset change can come alongside. It's not an either or, and we will not take mindset change as an acceptable, response from the government. Shama.
What I'm trying to say is, like you mentioned, Menka Gandhi, the Minister for Women and Child, think in such a way that women should not go out of the hostel at a certain time. They have hormonal issues. I mean, then what can you expect from the government of this day? She's in charge of this department. Unless and until we change such people and bring progressive people, educated people, it's very important now that also all these ministers are educated, because education is important. And unless and until we get there, we're not going anywhere. Just imagine what she has said yesterday. How can we fight female feticide with somebody who has such an outlook? And what did she say? That we have to go and check each and every, let them go through with I'm sorry, I can't recall exact words what she said, but what I'm trying to say is this is not done. I mean, you need to change such a minister, immediately ask a resignation and put someone who is able to handle such thing. To go and check on 1 billion population is not
Ranjana,
easy,
do you
like
agree?
The doctor said.
Ranjana Kumari, do you agree?
You have to have somebody progressive.
Well, you see the outrage. You see the outrage. I mean, in fact, it was said in the context of Banaras Hind University.
Yes.
And that university I have graduated from, BHU. And I can tell you, let me just half a second. I think I just want to tell you, telling students to go home, girl students to go inside the hostel by 7 o'clock, not eat meat, not go to the library, not to study, what kind of a rule, and who has given a vice chancellor the right to make such kind of abnormal, obnoxious decisions? And instead of really taking him and reprimanding him, he is being, almost like there is a kind of support to his view that comes from the highest level, that is coming from the minister. So I think these are the kind of things which really have to stop. I think this is age and day when you just cannot afford to talk irresponsibly about women and their lives. because so much of
Shaina Nc, very quickly, I have 30 seconds.
From being born to being on the street and road and do anything.
Shaina Nc, very quickly.
No, I was just going to highlight, Faye, that we've launched this helpline called Stree Sanman, Break Your Silence, Say No to Violence. It is for any woman-related issue. The number is 8888 06 and it is functional every 24/7. So if any woman feels that she is being wronged or being coerced into aborting or having these kind of issues, it's important to have a helpline to guide you what you can do legally, where we have lawyers, and what the police can do, and what the state government's role is as well. So I think that I would only appreciate if maximum women use this kind of a service, which is of course free for every woman in the state of Maharashtra.
All right, we've run out of time here, but we must point out one thing. It will be International Women's Day in less than 24 hours, and we're going into International Women's Day with currently some of the worst track records and numbers as far as crime against women is concerned, as far as the gender ratio is concerned, as far as female feticide. The stories that we're reading right now are appalling. So it's not about free dinners and free glasses of wine and shopping coupons that a lot of brands are going to be doing tomorrow in order to take advantage of that one day. It's about finding solutions for these problems. It's about knowing when something like this is happening in your neighborhood, in your social circle. If you understand that there is someone who has found out the sex of their unborn baby, or if there is a doctor who is actually telling people, you need to be the whistleblower, each and every one of us needs to come out and blow the whistle on that person and say, this is not okay, I am reporting you to the police. We need to insist that the police take action. We need to insist that politicians or people in power who are protecting these people are also thrown behind bars, because these 19 little girls have nobody else to save them other than you and me. And unless we speak up, and unless we say that it's not about the free dinners tomorrow on Women's Day, it's about us standing for ourselves, we will not be able to stop this. Thanks for watching.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Magicbricks Now. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magicbricks Now. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/Magicbricks Now.